All right, from coaches to casuals, grassroots to the league, this is Open Gym. I'm Coach Q.
Coach Way Too Nice, Coach Wayne.
Special guest, Coach G. We're speaking about recruitment. We're talking about getting our kids in line, whether it's the AAU live period, it's the team camp live period, connecting with coaches, building relationships, rapport. It's all for the end goal, which is get them that scholarship, right?
Free education.
Right. So there has been some changes that have happened. It's come down Supreme Court ruling. Hey, QJ, if you could do me a favor, we'll play maybe a minute of a clip. It's a guy, he kind of runs down a few of the quick little points.
NCAA rule that just passed because this is very, very important. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jake Blazona. I am a former college basketball player. I played 2 years at the Division II level and another 2 years at the Division III level. I just graduated and am entering the business world. In very basic terms, starting July 1st, schools can now start paying athletes directly. That's what this new law that the NCAA just passed is all about. I'm not talking NIL or some boosters sliding you money under the table. No, this is the university giving you an on-the-book paycheck. D1 schools can now pay $20.5 million a year on athlete compensation. Crazy. Not to mention that number is going to keep growing as time goes on. Now, the upside of all this is a huge win for the athletes, especially basketball players. But let's keep it real. This also brings in some wild stuff that can happen too. I mean, we're officially in pay-for-play territory now. And if athletes start getting classified as employees, I mean, we're talking contracts, we're talking taxes. Shit, they may even have to log their hours like they're working a normal 9 to 5. Plus, schools still got to follow Title IX, so they have to make sure that this is equal across men and women's sports. That alone is going to be complicated.
All right, you pause that.
Bottom line, I think this.
And then go to the next tab right beside it.
Shape the future of college sports, and it's not the NCAA, SEC, or the Big Ten. The brand new College Sports Commission just launched as part of the House vs. NCAA settlement. This commission is going to be the enforcement arm for NIL deals, roster limits, and revenue sharing across all of college athletics. The Power Four conferences, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC are all backing this commission and led the CEO search. They're creating something that's never existed before, a central authority to police player payments. As someone running an NIL collective, I'm cautiously optimistic that this is finally what college sports needs. Let's break down exactly what this new commission will be responsible for. This commission is going to run the NIL Go clearinghouse that tracks every single NIL deal in the country. This is going to be a big responsibility to take on, as there have been plenty of people scrutinizing the clearinghouse idea. They'll also enforce the 105 player roster limits that make sure schools don't exceed the $22 million revenue cap. This commission will be watchdog and investigate schools trying to find loopholes in the system. Finally, they'll handle arbitration when disputes arise between schools, athletes, and collectives. It's a huge task for a new group, but something that the NCAA desperately needs to get right. For more breakdowns like this, comment, subscribe, and I'll send you the link to my newsletter.
A lot of information.
Yeah.
A lot of things to intake. So as high school coaches, y'all are trying to put your kids inside the best situation possible. These new rulings from the NIL, the Supreme Court ruling, to this new commission that's being brought. I don't know, what is just your general reactions and thoughts on the new landscape? It seems like they're trying to put some regulations to what has been the Wild West for maybe close to 5 years since COVID. What's your thoughts?
Man, just listen to all the information. It lets you know that they've recognized how much they let things kind of just be freely out there and freely flowing.
Okay.
Today had to put some type of management to it, though, because for a while it was basically becoming almost similar to baseball. And I mean by that is you have all these players playing, but only top 5% actually really benefits from them being them being the star athletes, to where now you actually get to spread that out amongst your whole school. So now my star athlete at Harvard is not the same star athlete at Alabama. At Harvard, my star athlete may be a lacrosse player, maybe a golfer, maybe a tennis player. You know what I mean? So now it actually
rolls, whatever.
Rowing. You know what I mean? So now we're talking about I get to frequently and fluently make sure I'm literally allowing my athletes to see their financial worth. You know what I mean? And now and it's not just done at a one setting here or a two setting there. It actually goes for across the board now. So now we're not just focusing on what the NIL deal is, which is something that, of course, is used to bring your bigger athletes. But now as a sub athlete, you know what I mean, in a different sport, and I get to see my worth now. Like I say, you know,
but I guess with that, you're not guaranteed to get paid just because you're like a deep Division I athlete, right?
Yeah, but you're being paid based on your worth to the school.
Okay, all right, and that's what you're saying,
and that's what I'm saying now.
Like if you're the big guy, you're going to get that big chunk.
Big guy, and we're not talking about just big guy in basketball, big guy in football. We're talking about the big guy,
depending,
or the big girl. You know what I mean? So now
it Northwestern, that might be lacrosse.
Yes, now that's opened up for those other athletes, student athletes that were not benefiting as much as football and basketball and baseball. Now it's like, oh. Yeah, I now I do want to go to Northwestern because I am good at lacrosse. I do want to go to Princeton now because I am good at rowing. You know what I mean? So now I can go get my worth there versus, you know, hoping I get an NIL deal, hoping the booster kind of, you know, make sure I'm taken care of. Now I'm getting taken care of by the school for sure.
So I guess let me ask you this. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. With this new ruling, so the kids can get this base pay that's literally from the institution.
Yep.
And I think that they're like they've been floating the idea of like contracts, like a 2-year contract, things like that. But they could also still get NIL.
Yeah.
Okay. So I imagine that's where the collective thing is going to still come in impact. So then if you're one of these Power 4 conferences, you're gonna divvy out X amount per your basketball team, but then you still gonna make sure you get paid off that bin.
So like now I don't have to spend the full $5 million allotment on basketball or football because I know within that I have 10 athletes that are going to actually make more than what we can pay them from the school anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I think that's what they're referring to as the loopholes. There's going to be many loopholes that school's going to try to implement and take advantage of to where.
Well, yeah, I wonder if they're going to do away with the whole collective thing. I remember hearing, is it Dion? It might have been Dion or Penny.
Okay.
It was one of those two talking about it where they said reality is it's not a lot of NIL money.
No, it's collective money that comes from the boosters and everything like that kind of build conglomerates to help, you know, take care of things. And now. I mean, and these have been the same conglomerates of boosters that have been around for forever. Now they're just actually can be acknowledged as doing what they do. You know, so now I have basically 3 segments of 3 ways I can literally bring you in and make sure that you're compensated for your worth. I can pay you through the school. I can make sure you're good through boosters, or if you're one of those name athletes that have a name to go with them, or the game that goes with them, you're going to be an NIL kid as well. So it's like now I literally have 3 ways to recruit you from another school.
G, talk to us.
Man, first of all, I love this NIL era, the space that's going on. I just think that it should come with more educating the younger kids now.
Yeah.
Right. We always talk about, like, you know, financial security and what we are and are not teaching our kids.
Financial literacy.
Literacy, right?
Yep.
But now you're talking about, all right, a school has $20 million to give to their athletes across the board.
Yeah.
So what they were able to do was even the playing field. If you're a Duke and I'm at Wake Forest, man, there's no way if we're going after the same kid, there's no way I'm competing with that, because what Duke gave $22 million, something like that, in NIL money earned for their roster last year. It was some crazy number like that, right?
For the whole roster.
For the whole roster.
Not just players, not just Cooper, but for the whole entire roster.
Roster collectively.
Oh, this is just on the basketball side?
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking.
Damn, Con Knipple was making how much?
God, now, I don't know out of that.
I'm joking, but
yeah.
So now you take that 22 million. You know what I'm saying? I promise you, Wake Forest roster is not the same, and they both play in the ACC. You know what I'm saying? There's not a parent that's going to complain about that offer, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the NCAA did a good job of number one, cleaning up their image, right? Because they've let it get to this point where they're making billions of dollars. And you know, I remember in our day, you know, you got $40 for while everybody was gone.
The per diem
for your meal money, and you got to use that for like 2-3 days, man. Like we college athletes, like we big guys, you know what I'm saying? So now to see that being rectified, and I think and I love how the Title IX is working. So these young ladies are gonna be able to go to the next level and make quite a bit of money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I guess when he said that does
that's
make it even
part.
more interesting.
So now it's even. It's 20 mil. Wake Forest got 20, and Carolina got 20. And now the NIL part of it.
Shout out South Carolina, University of South. Don Staley about to do a hide over there with
what?
That.
Yo,
That they the cash cow over there. I guess as we're saying, and I guess we're all in agreement. I'm half and half, honestly, when it comes down to the NIL and paying the kids and everything. In which, like, I guess overall, I'm for it. I also just have like a salty POV on it a little bit from just seeing how it has influenced some kids that I thought potential was way further, and they became complacent and they didn't hit their peaks, and like it ended up being the distraction tool that led them down like different avenues that I don't think is necessarily like the.
And I think that will be a cause and effect of them not getting the education, right? I just think that, I mean, they talk about it all the time. The numbers of people who go to the NFL, NBA, and end up broke when they're done. I think we're gonna see that number probably fluctuate if these kids don't stay, get a good education, get a good solid team around them, right? Because you're talking about, you know, a small percentage of high school athletes who go into that realm.
Yeah.
But on a grand scale of what we're seeing, it's a big number, right?
But I also say I think where it's gonna get nasty is that it now opens up a market for vultures. A market for like the vulture agents, the vulture sign with this group, and we can guarantee you this thing, and they're gonna lock these kids in some like
it's a lot of
bad boy contracts, and that's the part. And again, like when you said financial literacy and making sure that you have the right people around you. And the unfortunate part is that a lot of this will end up being preying on single mothers, at-risk families that might not have a lawyer in their back pocket to make sure that this contract is signed well.
Right. But I feel like, you know, and this could be something that, you know, could be an addendum to what they're doing. But the educational part of it should also include a legal part to it as well. You know what I mean? The way you want to educate them financially. It also, you know, in a sense should include legal literacy as well, understanding how to legally manage things, how to use that money to gain representation. And not all, and we're going to say, you know, of the percentage of trusted, you know, representation, they're all going. We're always going to have some bad apples.
Yes.
There's a lot of snakes in this game.
It is.
But I mean, when you speak of vultures, like I mean, again, we've been doing what we do in this space the last 5 years. We had a lot of heat over there. Cooper, Reagan,
Richardson.
We don't have some heat over there. But we also had like Chayla Scott was track athlete. She's at South Carolina right now. Amazing. So you're talking about, you know, all kind of things working on and special things happening for these young ladies and people coming out the cut like, hey, did you see what we did for so-and-so out the city? And we're going to do the same for you. And you sign this contract. I've seen that with my own eyes. And I'm like, what? Like, number one, we're talking 2 different lanes, you know. And you'll lose your whole college eligibility for signing that. And some of these kids don't have that education or don't know that. And just to be honest, I don't think that, you know, the system is designed to cover the NCAA and it protect them and their interests. You know what I'm saying? I think when I hear the commission and the way they're building it, I thought about the only thing that I had was the transparency that I would like to see from it. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're trying to establish. Hey, we're going to have checks and balances for all this money coming in. But when I see it and the way they're designing it, I think about the NFL. Like when they have fines of players, you don't really know what it's for, why, and you didn't even know that was illegal. And then where's that money going to go and who does it support? So these are all the questions that I would have when you start telling me that a 19-year-old is going to have to pay back some money because they were late to class.
Right. And the thing is that
Or do you got payback money because you were hurt, you weren't able to play that time? You know what I mean? Like
these values, like that's what I'm thinking about, because from the perspective that we teach the game, we're building the character, and we're teaching that from the youth level all the way up.
Yeah,
the character part that goes along with the game. So it's like, I think that's gonna be the biggest challenge with all this new stuff coming up. When these loopholes start popping off, like who's the accountability gonna be on? And we're watching kids hoop, and we're gonna say, well, he underperformed and he was overpaid. When it
that's gonna be a big thing now, is that
like
the conversation is gonna become way more NBA-esque. And before we move off of it, I would say I was having a conversation with another parent over the weekend, and they was talking about how, and luckily, like, this is a parent that kind of has an understanding of like their kid and like situations, and they're not like blinded by like money per se. And they were saying how like they had an offer to go take their kid, and they was gonna pay that kid let's just say 6 figures, right? And for them, they was like, that's cool, but I know my kid. And at the age that they're at right now, sending them there with that money, they're not that kid right now. Maybe in a year we can revisit it, maybe in 2 years we can revisit it. But when we talk about like and not even saying that this is specifically a vulture situation, but like being blinded by money and it distracts you from whatever the actual end goal might be, like that's now happening also as early as the grassroots. And like that's his own thing to kind of just really pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's deep, man. You know what I mean? Especially when it just, I know we're going to talk about it, but that's probably the reason some of these folks are starting to reclass differently now. It's a different game that is in a different perspective that it brought to people. And it all goes back to the why of things, the intent and the purity. And that's going to always be hard to see in this game anyway, because there's so many different reasons. But I think with that money being involved now, man, which again, I started off saying, I love it for the kids that if the intent is pure, if you're able to go get a check and take care of your family who took care of you, hey, it's all for it. That's the purest form of it, right?
Yeah.
I just think, man, we're going to see a lot more things come before we see
the dust is just settling on the Wild West.
For sure.
I told my youngest, you got to be a pro now. You got to move like a pro right now. And he's how old are you? 12.
Yeah. The digital footprint don't lie. We all work jobs. Y'all in the school system. Y'all digital footprint get checked even heavier.
That's why you gotta watch what you say, watch what you post, watch what you own. Right, for real, but you gotta move the right way at all times. And that's what's also gonna force a lot of these student athletes to do as well. Really take a glance at how they're moving outside of their sport, outside of the school. Because now you have become a true investment of a corporation. Before you was getting paid by just, in a sense, they really couldn't control your money over here because you're getting it from outside source. Now they about to control you.
That's where the whole contract and
so
putting together a whole governing body comes in it. Like it starts to look a little different.
Yeah.
G, you hit on it. So I guess this will kind of probably wrap up like the high school section of this, the reclassing.